like Stonehenge. The craft can hover over these energy spots and draw energy from those spots to help replenish the craft.
Now, why these giant fuel stops are all built out of big lumps of stone, Childress doesn't say. But maybe we could tap into this energy nowadays. Of course we can't. Over to you, David, to explain exactly why not.
I know many people must have difficulty in imagining this energy grid around the planet, but it's a lot like this racetrack. Here on this racetrack we have a geometric formation. It's all interconnected. We have the cars running along this energy grid. But if any part of this racetrack is disconnected or broken, the cars won't have the energy anymore and they won't be able to run along the track.
So unfortunately, because the ancient monuments like Stonehenge are nothing more than ruins, the world energy grid has broken down. So no free energy for us. But apparently the aliens didn't just use the ancient monuments for energy. Oh no.
Many of the megalithic monuments, including pyramids, Stonehenge, are actually antennas that can be used by UFOs.
So there you go. Stonehenge wasn't just a place where druids hung out. It may have been used by ancient aliens to phone home. Or maybe not.
Oh sure, they're from another planet.
But talking of phoning home, where might these ancient aliens have actually come from? There is one man who should know. He's Seth Shostak. He heads up SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This is a scientific study that's been scouring the constellations for the last 20 years, listening for radio signals from alien life forms. It turns out that lots of scientists believe that life probably did arise somewhere else other than the Earth. After all, the universe contains trillions and trillions of stars. Seth Shostak has devoted his life to being the first to prove it.
You know, the universe is vast. It seems that most stars have planets. There are going to be lots of other worlds that are just as nice as the Earth for life. The question is, has life arisen on those worlds? So, how do we find the aliens, as it were? How do we at least look for them? We haven't found them yet. Well, one thing to do is to look for radio waves that might be coming to us from other worlds. So you build big things like this.
So far, there's not even been a whisper from other galaxies, so Seth can't say for sure yet where aliens live. And he won't do until he gets that call.
I think that there's a good chance that we will find that this planet is not the only one, even in our own solar system, to have spawned some biology. My guess is that we will find a signal coming from another world.
If science isn't ready to say where aliens might live, and so where ancient aliens could have come from, that doesn't mean to say there are no suggestions. Among the UFO believers, some places have emerged as firm favourites. So in reverse order, here are the top 3 likely homes for ancient alien astronauts. In at number 3 is the dog star Sirius. Crazy name, crazy place. It's the nearest star to our solar system. It's in lots of Egyptian hieroglyphics, and it gets into lots of weird folklore. Like this African tribes. They've got an ancient myth that tells of frog-faced gods who came from the sky in a spiralling craft from, yep, Sirius, and taught them sacred rituals. So were these visitors our alien astronauts on a mission? Or how about number 2, a place called Planet X? Jason Martell is convinced aliens are from there. He says that the ancient Sumerians from Iraq believed in a 10th planet in our solar system, which modern science hasn't yet discovered. Sumerians, he says, believed that's where their gods, the Anunnaki, hung out.
Again, the Anunnaki are the beings supposedly that come from Planet X, another planet within our solar system that modern science is currently trying to look for. That planet does exist. It's possible we have ancestors living on that planet.
Just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon.
It was looking good for Planet X when in July 2005 astronomers announced they had actually discovered a big blob way out beyond Pluto. They called it Planet Xena. But they've now realised it's really small and full of gas. So not likely to be the home of the Anunnaki or our ancient alien visitors. But there's one candidate for alien life that obsesses more people than any other. It's our closest neighbour, Mars. It's also the planet that's most like our own. Some scientists are convinced it has water, and for years NASA has been probing and exploring it. So far, no signs of aliens. But in 1976, they were looking for signs of tiny bacteria, when instead they found this. This photo of the plain of Cydonia contains what most astronomers are convinced are some large rocks. But to some people, they look suspiciously like this. Here's one guy who thinks that's exactly what they are. Tom Van Flandern is a renegade astronomer who has his own theory about Mars and junk. You see, according to Flandern, Mars is really the moon of a planet where extraterrestrial humans first evolved, but had to leave in a bit of a hurry when it exploded. Left behind was all sorts of junk, including pyramids.
The most interesting speculation about the origin of the artifacts on Mars is that the original human race was on the parent world that has since exploded. They built things on their moon, Mars, but before the end of their civilization, which they saw coming, they transferred their species to the most nearly habitable planet, which would have been Earth. We'd sure like to get higher resolution images of this and other pyramid-shaped objects on Mars and see if they are truly pyramids.
But are these really pictures of Martian pyramids, you ask? Tobias Owen was a NASA scientist on the mission that took the photographs. He's what you might call unconvinced.
My job there was to examine pictures as they were coming in of the surface of Mars in regions that we thought would be safe for the spacecraft to land. There was a small group of people who felt that this was an example of an alien construction, that there was life on Mars, or there had been life on Mars.
NASA promptly issued a denial, which for believers was obviously proof of a monumental cover-up.
You know, the interesting thing about NASA's track record, NASA, National Aeronautics Space Association, could also stand for Never a Straight Answer. In its inception in 1959 or so, NASA consulted a big think tank called the Brookings Institute, which advised NASA, if you ever find extraterrestrials, these things need to be handled cautiously. For one, society in general and religious institutions aren't quite ready to accept an extraterrestrial presence.
Pyramids on Mars were spooky enough, but then things got really out of hand when NASA released another batch of photographs from the plain of Cydonia. And near the pyramid shapes was something else. A rocky outcrop that some people felt had an eerie resemblance to something familiar, something that ancient astronaut believers have long connected with aliens. Yep, that other famous tourist site in Egypt.
Very interestingly enough, NASA first took